Elizabeth here again, and a very big thank you to each and every one of you who dropped one of your 2 cents on our last video. I hope you were able to learn 1 or 2 things from what you've watched. And then today we are going to be talking about notarization. In the previous videos, I've mentioned notarization, and I believe a lot of us must have understood what notarization is. But for those who don't understand what notarization means, this particular field is going to enlighten you more on why you need notarization and how it is done. So now let's get into it. Is your translation ready? What we mean by is your translation ready? This is after you must have translated your document from one language to the other, and when you need a notary. This is a notary public. So this presentation clarifies when notarized translation is necessary. Learn what notarization means, why it matters, and how it ensures that your documents are legally accepted. Understanding these points prevents delay and rejection in official processes. This process might be maybe when you go to the immigration, you want to process 1 or 2 of your documents, you going to the embassy, getting your documents notarized is going to prevent delay and rejection. What is notarized translation? So definition here says translation validated by a notary public official's verification. This means that your document must have been signed, sealed, and stamped by a notary official, and these notary officials are usually the lawyers. Yes, the lawyers are the ones that have the power to affix their signature, their seal on your document. So for identity confirmation, notary public confirms that the translator identity is credible. This is why we also need notary public. They help us to confirm the identity of the translator to the document. So now, for the translation accuracy, translator attests to the translation correctness. Then for no content endorsement, notarization does not endorse or guarantee content accuracy. Yes, the part of the lawyer is just to affix signature, his seal on the document. But this does not mean that your translation is correct. For the key scenarios that require notarization, number 1 is the immigration documents. These immigration documents, examples of the immigration documents are the birth certificate and the marriage certificate. Then for meet regulatory requirements such as USCIS and NVC. Then for the legal and business agreements, examples of the documents that require notarization when it comes to legal and business agreements are international business and property transactions. The contracts that are also requiring authenticity validation. Then the next one is for the academic records. A majority of the academic records needs to be notarized. Yes. Examples are the transcripts and the diploma certificate, then the foreign credentials and evaluation of admission. Please take note of these documents that need notarization. So when you want to travel out of the country and you're trying to translate your documents, please ensure to know that your immigration document is going to require notarization. Your legal and business agreement is also going to require notarization. Your academic records as well is going to require notarization. For the specific examples for the immigration, we have USCIS requirements, which means certified translation often need notarization for acceptance. In our previous videos, we've mentioned standard translation and certified translation, in which I explained that the standard translation comes with certificate of translation, in which I mentioned that the certified translation come with certification of translation, whereas the standard translation does not come with certificate of translation. This does not mean that the translation that was carried out is not accurate. Of course it is accurate. It's just that there are differences between requiring a standard translation and a certified translation. So for the common documents for immigration, like we've mentioned earlier, are the birth certificates, the marriage certificates, the divorce decree, and the public records. For the specific example, other the legal and business, we have international contracts. which ensures clarity and prevents legal disputes. Notarization, when it comes to legal contracts, ensure clarity and prevents legal disputes. Then for patents and IPs, notarization formalizes ownership of intellectual property overseas. Intellectual property, this is when patents come in. Then for financial documents, notarization also makes sure that for foreign investments that require verified authenticity, for financial documents for foreign investments requiring verified authenticity. See, if you need a verified authentication on your financial documents for foreign investment, make sure it is notarized, and make sure that notarization comes with the lawyer's seal, his signature, and he affixes date on it. Then for sworn statements, important for declaration and affidavit in business law. Notarization is important for declaration and affidavit in business law. This is for sworn documents. So the next category, which is for the academic part, so let us lay specific example for education. So number one, we have the foreign transcripts, which is required for U.S. university admission verification. This is for a lot of us that want to further our education outside Nigeria. You need to notarize your transcripts before you leave Nigeria. Yes, for foreign U.S. admission verification. In fact, it is going to be part of the requirements that is going to be stated on the website. So make sure to look out for the requirements one after the other before you carry out any translation on your documents. Then for diplomas, these are needed for professional licensing boards. Notarization is needed for professional licensing board for those who have diplomas. Then for evaluation services, notarization often requires notarized translation to certify authenticity. For evaluation service, you see, notarized translation is there to verify or certify authenticity of that evaluation service. So please make sure to always look out for these examples if you're trying to get out of the country or move out of the country through education. Make sure that your documents, your transcripts most especially, and others are duly notarized by a notary public. So this leads us to the notarization process, the step-by-step process that involves notarization. So number one is the complete translation. Translator finishes the translated documents accurately. You have to get your documents translated accurately first. That's the first thing first you need to do. Then a signed affidavit. Translator signs affidavit of accuracy before notary. So for any translation company, they need to make sure that the documents that are taken to the notary public is accurate, no mistake. So this verification has to be made, because if there's any mistake in the documents that are taken to the notary public for notarization, you will pay double. If you have a mistake and you want to notarize that same document again and you are going back to the notary public, you will have to make another payment. That means the first notarization you did is a waste. So there has to be a signed affidavit between the translator, and all this is needed just for the accuracy before notary public do their own diligence. Then for verification of identity, notary confirms the identity of the translator. Any document that is signed and sealed by a notary public, you should know that the notary public must have verified that, oh, this translator is a real person. This translator is a real translator, not just a quack translator. So notary public also verifies the identity of a translator. Then the stamp and seal that I have been mentioning since, notary public stamp and seal to finalize verification. If you do any notarization in any notary public and it is not stamped and sealed, that is not what it means to notarize a document. You have not done a notarization. So when you are doing a notarization, make sure that that document must have been stamped, sealed, signed by the notary public. The key takeaway is notarization rights for you. Number one is identify why you need the translation before notarizing. Identify it. And according to the examples we've listed earlier, we talked about immigration, we talked about legal and business, then we also talked about academic. So identify if your document is all about immigration, if your document is about legal and business, or if your document is about education. Identify why you need the translation before you notarize it. Then check your requirements. I mentioned it earlier. Make sure you check your requirements via the website you are putting in your application. Make sure to verify if the receiving agency demands notarization. If your receiving agency does not demand notarization, there's no need for you to do notarization. But if your receiving agency states it clearly on their requirements that you need to do notarization, please, you need to do notarization. So when you are in doubt, notarize to ensure smooth acceptance and legal validity. Notarize to ensure smooth acceptance and legal validity. Maybe a translation was done for you and you are not, the immigration, you don't want to have any hitch with them, don't want to have any clash with them and all of that. Whereas in their requirements, they didn't state that you should do notarization, but you just want to have a quick pass and all of that. You can also request for a notarization service, yes. So for peace of mind as well, if you want to have peace of mind, you don't want to think about anything, you don't want to have any headache. Critical documents get an extra layer of trust and control when you notarize your documents. So in this study that I've been able to put you through, I hope that I've been able to convince you and not confuse you that there are certain documents that need notarization. Examples are the immigration document, which is your birth certificate, your marriage license, your divorce decree, and lots more. Then for the legal businesses, business transactions that involve foreign investments, you also need notarization. Then for the academic, which is the transcript, your diplomas, and lots more, also need notarization. And these notarization services are duly carried out at Novatia Translation. Yes, we carry out notarization services for our clients at Novatia Translation, irrespective of your location, wherever you might be. We are going to carry out that notarization service for you seamlessly at Novatia Translation. Until I see you in my next video. Bye.